Hey guys, so second book review of 2022. It's taking me a little bit of time to get used to saying 2022. So this particular book is a book that I don't even remember how I stumbled upon it. I saw it like on something, and I was like, that sounds interesting. So I of course went and got the book. So this book is So Many Beginnings by Bethany C. Morrow. And as you can see, it is a Little Women remix. Little Women remix. So when I got this book, I started to panic a little bit because the history person in me was looking at the front cover and going, wow, these dresses are not period appropriate to 1863. But it's fine. So this story, as it said, it's a Little Women's remix. So basically you have the bones of the original classic Little Women by Alcott. And so you have Meg, Jo, Beth, and Amy. Although their full names are said quite frequently, and they're not, like you assume Beth would be Elizabeth, or I think in the original Little Women, like Jo was like Josephine or something like that. So in this one, it's like Bethlehem and Amethyst for Amy. And so they're a little bit different. But the story follows the March family, the March girls, as they are adjusting to their life as newly freed people during the Civil War. And so this book really explores an element of something that I hadn't really thought about in like our slave narratives or anything like that. That element being that what did people actually think freedom meant to them? Like we assume, you know, freedom meant, oh, I don't have to be under somebody's master and all that stuff. And they do talk about that, but especially for the four girls, each of them looks at freedom a little bit differently. Into like what they're going to do with all of this openness that they have, these options that they suddenly have that they haven't had before, which I really like that element of it because it's just not something that we see in literature all that often. So that was cool. And that was about it. The rest of the book, not a super huge fan of the writing style, and I've not read anything else by Morrow. I know that there was like a list of things that she's written in the back. And I'm curious to kind of see what her other stuff is like, but just as a whole, I just wasn't really digging her writing style. And I know that I don't like somebody's writing style or that I'm not invested in a story when I constantly am putting the book down, even though I think I said this in my last video. It doesn't usually take me too terrible long to read books. Like if I'm going past a week, it's bad. I did knock this one out in about 3 days. But still, it was just, I was constantly putting the book down. Like I was constantly distracting myself with other things because it was just a rough read. And it wasn't that it was a hard read, like the vocabulary and that wasn't the issue. It was just the flow of the story. I felt like she jumped around a lot between like the thoughts of them thinking back to their previous lives as being enslaved and all of that. Whereas like it was happening in the middle of something that was current. So like there's one point, and it really just stuck out to me because I got super lost for like 30 pages. It wasn't really that long. It was like 3 pages, but whatever. But they were talking about this character. She came out of a building, and she was standing there, and Jo was looking at her, and suddenly had a thought about what it was like, blah, 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 blah. And then like goes in back into her time when she was enslaved and all of that. And this goes on for like 2 pages. And it was just really hard because then when it actually came back to the main point, I was like, so wait, what? What just happened? I did that so much. So because of that, I did not really like this book. If I had to rate it, I would give it like a 3 or a 2 out of 5. Or 2.5. I think on a story graph I gave it like a 2.5 or something like that. It just, like, the story was good. Like as an overall, the story was good. I liked some of the changes. So like we still had We still have like a Lori and a Joe and that whole relationship. And the cool part, not to spoil anything, was that a lot of the original plans for the characters, they are not the same, which was really, really nice. I liked that feature. So none of the characters end up the same way as in the classic, but it was just, I felt like the author might have been rushing through some features of it to hit more important statements. There were a lot of really good sections that were just beautifully written scenes, dialogue between characters. It just flowed really, really well on those parts, but then everything in between didn't flow as well. And so that kind of bothered me. Outside of that, honestly, it wasn't that bad of a book. So again, So Many Beginnings, a Little Women remix by Bethany C. Morrow. Not my favorite of the books that I've read so far this year, but it wasn't that awful. It wasn't that awful either. So it's worth reading. If you like the original classic, it's definitely a shift. And I encourage everybody else to read it. Tell me what you think down in the comments. Like, did you like it? If you do read it, do you think the same that I think? I'm really curious to hear what other people have to say about it. So until next video, which the next video will be filmed in like 2 minutes, but you won't see it for a little while. So anyway, until next video, bye guys.